One big giant traitor chessboard piece, 3 faithfuls awaiting their fate, with either Claudia or the 3 traitors to meet them on a Scottish night. This wasn't a cinematic piece, but a lead up to an answer we've been waiting for nearly a week to find out. Who out of Kate, Lucy or Nick would be the victim of a face-to-face murder? In my previous video I said the traitors should go for Lucy, but as the days went by I wondered if keeping Lucy might be a good idea because there were 1 or 2 faithfuls that thought she was a traitor. Then I went back to my original thought because I believed more would think Kate is, and it was a flip of a coin to whether they thought Nick was. Just because I thought they should go for Lucy didn't mean they would actually do so. To my surprise, Lucy was the chosen faithful who had the displeasure of seeing all 3 traitors face to face. Her shock and disappointment was evident, while the traitors had differing reactions to that task. The next day at breakfast was the most shocked I've seen the faithfuls after realising who the murdered faithful was. Some theories were thrown out the window with Lucy's elimination. Every move keeps the faithfuls second guessing their theories, and you wonder who will be the next player they turn their attention to.
I think it's a combination of they're doing a brilliant job and we're doing the worst job in Traitors history.
One thing was clear, that Kate's lack of theories and ideas keep making her look suspicious to the other faithfuls. With David's theory of a traitor not being happy about the way the teams initially were in the previous mission, he wrongly directed his theory at Nick, completely missing the part where Joe was the one who was unhappy about the initial teams, while Nick just suggested randomizing the teams again. David's chain of thoughts were making him look even more suspicious and had the potential of seeing him receive votes later in the evening. At the time I didn't know if this would be a key conversation, as there's been many talks through the days that don't pan out as one might think. Celia wanted Joe and Kat to vote with her and vote for Jonathan, while Kat and Alan had once joked about throwing Jonathan under the bus. Would this be the time one of them actually did? In another part of the grounds, Jonathan and Alan were talking about Joe with Kate, making it clear that they'll probably vote for Joe, though later when the same 3 were talking, Jonathan said he might go for David.
Darling, do you really want the truth?
Yes.
But I don't want you then to think I'm trouble and then kill me.
Well, no, I'm...
Celia is too honest for her own good, either telling people she's snooping during the actual snooping or telling the person she thinks is a traitor that she'll vote for them. She's quietly focusing in the right direction and also has her eyes firmly on Alan. Celia is the only faithful who's truly talking about the possibility of Alan being a traitor.
Alan has stayed under the radar.
He sure has.
Well, also, can I say someone else who has? Kat.
Yes,
She's barely said 2 words.
I know.
They're the 2 people who stayed under the radar most.
Alan and Kat.
Yes.
And that does look suspicious.
I know this isn't the first time one of these traitors has mentioned another, but I wondered if this one felt different. One because there's so few of them, and the other because Jonathan mentioned Alan and Kat at the same time. Was this another way of gearing us up for a traitor on traitor battle, or just Jonathan throwing their names just because he needs to say everyone? Or was this Jonathan's plan to carve a way out of scrutiny and possible banishment? Before the round table we had a mission of great heights. This mission saw the players working in pairs. One player would be attempting to cross a wobbly and unfinished bridge, while the other one was trying to direct them, but also catch the bag that the crosser collected. I'm glad for the crossers didn't have to do so while being blindfolded.
Oh, you're doing well! Shut up! Well done! But I fear that maybe like a kind of loving, overbearing, willing mother, I was putting him off.
I know if I was to hear Kate while crossing, it would put me off. I would either need a soothing and calm person or just silence. Then again, I wouldn't be crossing the bridge in the first place. I would be worse than Kat, though I wouldn't be screaming. Maybe at some point in the day I would eventually make it across, but it wouldn't be fast. It wouldn't be a good idea for me to do such things, as I can't even walk on an even path without tripping or turning my ankle. The ground isn't safe for me, so this bridge would be a nightmare. Joe's technique while crossing the bridge was cracking me up. I was surprised the ex-rugby player wanted to do it because he isn't exactly on the light side. All 4 crossers made it over the bridge, which meant £10,000 was added to the prize pot. The one from the pair that didn't walk the bridge had to decide who was in line for the shield, but as each person went to make their choice, they ended up replacing the one who was chosen before. None of them chose themselves, being extra nice to pick the one that crossed the bridge. As the last pair, David chose Joe, which meant Joe won the shield. Joe probably doesn't realise how important that win is for him, as I think he would have been a strong candidate for murder next. Before the round table, this was the one where I was most uncertain where the votes were gonna lie. There was something brewing, and it was a case of what direction would it actually travel in. For me, it rested on if Kat would align with Celia's plan. Many names mentioned, many thoughts being vocalised. Alan was prickly at the round table when addressing Joe, and it wasn't the best thing to do. This is purely from the angle that it wasn't warranted. From a game point of view, it was very defensive. With Kat using the big dog theory against Jonathan and Celia saying she would vote for him, I wondered, would this finally be the time? Would the faithfuls finally bag themselves a traitor? As the votes were shown, I sat up a little more as one by one Jonathan's name came up. Kat did align with Celia and Joe. David was on his own island, while Alan jumped on what Kat said and also voted for Jonathan. With 6 out of the 8 votes for Jonathan, in episode 7, the faithfuls finally banished their first traitor. Though Jonathan didn't let them know instantly, with his parting speech keeping them on tenterhooks, thinking they might just have got it wrong again. Despite the faithfuls' poor record, while it's the longest record for not banishing a traitor from the UK batch, it's not the longest out of the English-speaking countries or in the whole Traitors universe. Let's see if they can get a second in a row. It's even more pressing that they do, because after the next banishment, there will be no role reveals, an element that would keep them guessing right until the end, unless they pull a let's end the game with 4 players stunt like a certain version did. Anyway, the traitors have a rather tricky task on their hands. Another murder in plain sight, this time with a toast that would be better coming out of someone like Stephen's mouth. It would seem very strange if Kat were to say it. Though we were left wondering who would be the target, it looks like Alan will once again be conducting the murder in plain sight. Though he would like to, he can't do. Joe, Cecilia, David, Kate and Nick will be having one last dinner at the castle.